here at Hargrove Roofing, we try to think outside the box to kind of get the creative juices flowing. So I brought in my friend Stevie Lee, former defensive tackle for the Texas Longhorns. He's going to help the team strategize, really motivate them, light a fire.
This guy's going to block down. This guy's going to block down. You put your butt into the guard, and that way my Mike linebacker gets free to do what?
Not only are they going to learn a thing or two, but they're going to also leave with a great attitude and a bunch of smiles on their faces.
I'm sorry, what does this have to do with roofing exactly?
Get out.
Right now.
I said get out.
For me, that's what it's all about. It's just having fun, making our employees have a great time. Hargrove Roofing. Know who's on your roof.
Day 15 of Pop Tart review. We got 15 actually. Wow. What it tastes like? A lot of fun. Tastes like a W. Tastes like a W. What's James supposed to say?
A Pop Tart tasting like a W. That is one of my new favorite bowl games, Stevie Lee. The Pop Tart Bowl. Iowa State. Man, they represented the Big 12 and beat the Miami Hurricanes 42-41. And one Pop Tart was sent to rest in peace after they sent it through the chute. And all those players cutting a piece of that Pop Tart off. That's got to be the most authentically quality tasting Pop Tart on the planet.
Yeah, that was pretty fun to watch, man. The live Pop Tart goes down, and the dead Pop Tart comes out, and everyone eats it. That was fun.
Oh, I love bowl season. This is why we don't want to change it. I like the CFP. I love bowl season. I mean, do you feel the same way? Just keep all the bowls, keep them going because they're good for the communities, and it's good for corporate sponsorship, I assume.
No, I love it. I always love going to a bowl. I've been to 5 of them. So,
you played in them.
yeah. So it's always a lot of fun, and you've been a part of bowls, part of the media.
Yeah.
So
look at this. There's one.
Yeah, there you go. So bowls are a lot of fun, man, and that's the heart. That's the goal to get to the bowl season at the end of the year, man. So that's hats off to all the bowl participants. It's just been fun to watch here lately.
Yeah, it is, and of course. Before we move on and give you a tease of what's to come, we got to give a shout out to our family and friends at Hargrove Roofing, Shreveport based, but deeply rooted to Central Texas, Austin, and University of Texas athletics. And that is how I was connected to them, is because the guy to my right, Stevie Lee, you know them really well.
Yeah, Hargrove, man. Let us know if you need any roofing help fixes. We had a hailstorm come through Austin last week, so let us know if you need anything, man. Call Mary over at Hargrove Austin, 512-645-3202, man. Hargrove Roofing, know who's on your roof.
Oh man, it's the best part when Stevie does that. He's got it. And of course, we've got a big show planned because this is round 2 of the college football playoffs. Stevie made a good point last week. The round 1, where it goes from 12 to 8 teams. The participants are the losers of the first round. That's it. They don't get a bowl week, so to speak. But now we're down to the Elite 8. The Longhorns are a part of it. Now the winners of the first round, like Texas, get to face the 4 teams which had first round byes. And for Texas, it's another trip to Atlanta. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to dive in deep about the Longhorns, go below the surface. And we've got an interview with the guy who's been on here before. He worked in Austin, Seattle, and now in Phoenix in the TV. He followed me barely. We almost crossed paths. We worked for the same TV station, K-View, here in Austin, Texas. Hey, it's Peach Bowl week. It's the Elite 8 of college football. Stevie's excited. He's the volleyball dad of the year in America, and he's back on for another edition of The Pass Rush with Stevie Lee. Hey, you ready to get this thing going, brother?
Let's go. That's right.
That's right. I love it. I love it. The hype is getting more and more. The buildup, the Peach Bowl, it's been a prestigious bowl game in a great city, Atlanta, GA, and Arizona State, the Sun Devils, first year in the Big 12, and they win it. They have the youngest coach in America, I believe, and they have a great running back, a great receiver who may not be playing, and one of the best quarterbacks as far as freshmen. Let's just say one of the best freshmen in the country. I am Sean Clinch, the co-host of the Pass Rush of Stevie Lee and the host of Stories Inside the Man Cave. Stevie Lee, it's not like we're crying for help, but we cannot grow unless you, the viewer and listener, help us out by following each of our social media platforms. There they are. There's a lot of them. And share our content, follow, tell your moms, cousins, your best friends, your third cousins, everybody. Let's share our content. And the best part, you can subscribe for free to our YouTube page. How about we start with this? The Texas defense. I mean, 4 All-Americans and the Jim Thorpe Award winner. They're only giving up 13 points per game and third ranked in the country in total defense. I know the numbers that they gave up against Clemson had something to do with that, with going down from, I think, 1 to 3, but it's still an elite defense. How do you sum this up as they go on to the next round as the stakes get higher, Stevie?
I like where we are. The defense is going to look around and say, "Oh, we were number 1, and now we're number 3. Let's get back to number 1." So you got something to work for. I like that part, and I like that we are running the ball the way we're running the ball right now. So defense can make some stops and get off the field, and the offense can run the ball and stay on the field as long as they want to, as long as we doing sustainable 4 or 5 yard runs and just driving down the field. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I am too. And, Alfred Collins is one of those guys from outside of the Austin area who's really developed progressively throughout his career. This year, last year had a great year. This year, phenomenal. I had to step in for some guys who stayed the duration of their career and were drafted highly in the NFL, and they're doing great things in the NFL, namely Tavondre Sweat and Byron Murphy. It's that guy is a bulldog, by the way. So you know how it is, bowl week and now college football playoffs. It's a lot of media. And the good thing about Zoom, you can get a bunch of people in without having to deal with media face-to-face. But an Arizona State media member asked Alfred Collins a question about how elite this defense is, because they said they don't think Arizona State's faced a defense of this caliber. Well, Alfred Collins was short and sweet, if you will. Where is it? Oh, here it is. 3, 2, and 1. So here's the response Alfred Collins gave that media member from Phoenix about trying to describe how good, how elite this defense is.
Turn on the tape. That's the few words I have. Turn on the tape and you will see.
Very confident.
Yeah.
Very confident.
You know what's funny about that? A little bit off topic. He said, "Turn on the tape."
Yeah.
I don't think he knows what tape is. He's that young.
That's right. That's a good point.
Turn on the digital video is what he meant.
Press play.
Press play.
Press play. He's not wrong, Stevie.
Yeah.
It's
true.
You can count on maybe one hand, maybe 6 or 7 times a team has broken off a long run.
Yep.
And there hasn't been many big plays, maybe 2 hands, maybe 3 of explosive plays against Texas defense, regardless of what people think the strength of opponent has been this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, our defense has been really, really good and really stout. So I think if you want to look back on our season, we've hung our hat on our defense. Sometimes the offense will stall and the defense will pick it up, And
it all starts with Pete Kwiatkowski, the DC, since he's been here at Texas, has progressively gotten better. Last year and this year, elite level defense, but you saw signs. But One thing that, because we don't get to know or have a privy of certain information, but I've never met PK, but I have heard he's a player's coach, but he also, as you know, you played defensive tackle for some great defenses under Mac Brown. Regardless of who you play, there are some stressful times in games in which, okay, we gave this touchdown up. We gave up we just got our butts handed to us up and down the field, and those are stressful situations. Well, Texas has been in some close games recently, and the defense has played lights out, but there are moments in which they have become stressed. And Michael Taft, one of those 4 All-Americans who was once a walk-on, he talked about the value of what PK brings during those stressful situations.
PK is the one that's not freaking out. He's the one that's calming everybody down. He's the leader that we need. And he's saying, all right, here we go. We're going to go this next call. Everybody just calm down, do your job, execute, and let's get off the field. Let's win this game. So I would say he's calm, composed, and he shows up in big games and calls the right calls and puts us in a great spot.
Now, you can have the best players in America, but if you don't have a calm, experienced defensive coordinator, I don't know if experience is the right word, but what have you heard about PK is it similar to what Taft just said?
Yeah, I think I think he can build the defense around his strengths, right? With the big tackles up there right now, the linebackers are free to roam. And last year when we had those 2 big tackles that can go and make plays, they let them go and make plays. So and then in the DB room, what's his name? Jadae Barron, the Thorpe Award winner. Yeah, the Thorpe Award winner, being able to lock someone down and he can have someone else or go cover the other, have the safety go cover the other receiver, over the top. So I think he can build a defense to all of his strengths on the defense, and that's really how you have to be versatile as a DC. So
Yes.
I can get real deep into that, but I can nerd out. So
I can too, but I don't have the experiences you have had.
Yeah. So I do like watching this defense, man. They love to fly around, and they also like playing defense.
Yeah,
you can tell those DBs like to come down and put a hat on somebody.
I enjoy that. Very satisfying watching that.
Yeah, exactly. So, like I always say, them Texas boys hit hard. So, yeah.
Well, they took Carson Beck, the quarterback from Georgia. He's done.
He's done.
So and then I guarantee you the backup Gunnar Stockton, he may not run upright like that again.
No.
Makuba put the wood on him. But a lot of teams have taken notice that, there's a lot of respect for this defense. And, a lot of it, I think a lot of players who are extremely talented, like Anthony Hill, have matured deeply, like much. I know it. I know that natural instinct's a big deal. And it's going to be the experience and composure, as you know, that's what wins these games against in this playoff type atmosphere. You don't just win by showing up. You got to be composed because they're going to take some hits, I'm sure. What I mean is signs of adversity. But Anthony Hill, second-year player, he was deeply respected last year. Well, PK challenged him in the offseason. This is what I want you to do this year. And before we hear from him, what have you heard about Anthony Hill? Because that guy is all over the field. He's like the quarterback of that defense.
I think you're exactly right. The quarterback of the defense, but also he's real heady, so he can put players where they needed to go pre-snap. So being the leader, we always need a leader back there in the backfield. There's a lot going on behind us. So sometimes someone is off and pre-snap, you get them back on, So you need that. And I heard that Anthony Hill was the basically the brains of the outfit when I was playing, it was Philip Geiger, right? I can hear him back there telling everybody where to go, making the calls pre-snap. I think Anthony Hill is one of those guys on our defense nowadays, and you always need that. You need somebody that's an extension of the head or the extension of the DC on the field.
That's well stated right there.
Yeah.
Man, that's why people need to hear from you much more than me. Anthony, he was asked about that development and PK's involvement, but he was quick to point out his position coach, Johnny Nansen.
Just developing, seeing stuff before the play and kind of working on my footwork, just not crossing over and kind of understanding the picture. Is it tight splits and are they going to run an over route or are they the linemen on their heels? Are they pulling? Just little stuff like that where you kind of don't think about in high school to just help me develop.
He looked for someone who is an absolute beast on the field. He still has that young baby face on him, and Anthony Hill does. He doesn't play like a child, I'll tell you that.
But he is young. This is his sophomore year. So I'm looking forward to seeing him play for hopefully another 3 years, or another 2 years. So we'll see.
Yeah, he's a superb talent. We talked about this potentially being 17-game season if you play in the national championship. I mean, it's there after New Year's Day when they play Arizona State. They've got 2 more. So after Wednesday, they're going to be at game 15 already.
Yeah.
And that's insane, but that's what the NFL plays in the regular season. You play 16 games to win a state championship in high school football. But what do you think? How do you think Sark? I know he was asked about it, but let's just say you're Quinn Ewers or any player. How do you mentally go through this grind? That's a lot of games.
Yeah, and I don't think that's on Sark. I think that's on Torrey Beckton in the weight room. Head strength conditioning coach. I'm totally not giving him all the credit that he needs because I don't know exactly his title. He's way more than just a strength and conditioning coach. I think he's sports science type of. So I've had dinner with him and sat down and talked about what they do over there, and it's deep of what they do to keep players healthy, but also keeping their strength up, keeping their speed up, and things like that. Is on him and is on the training room. I think Alan Harden, Alan was the head trainer over there when I was there. Now he's the CEO of medical sports medicine over there or something like that. So it's on those guys to keep these guys healthy physically and also help Torrey to help keep them healthy mentally with this long grinding season. Like you got to understand that these kids have gone through the start of school, midterms, and finals, and trying to play in the college football playoffs. A lot of people forget about all that, man, and trying to manage their money, their NIL deals. These kids are now – we were a business back then, but these kids are now a bigger business right now. So and then the seniors have to manage when they get done, they got to go work out for the combines. Right. Here shortly after that. So they got to manage that and manage trying to hire an agent while trying to do all that and studying and all that stuff and trying to, get their degrees on top of all that. So it's a long grind for this season. And when all eyes on you, when you're ranked 5, 3, 2, and 1, and trying to juggle all that and trying to juggle family when you have NIL money with their hands out, So it's a lot going on in these young men lives, which are still kids. Most of those guys are still under 21. We need to remember, yeah. And so there's a lot to manage, but this is where we are in college football. If you want to win it all, you got 17 games. And I know the NFL has 17 games, but the NFL is not juggling what these kids are juggling right now. The NFL is a job to them. They go in, clock in, do their work, and then they clock out, right? And but these kids got to clock in, do their work, do their schoolwork, manage their money and all that stuff. And and then take all these tests and trying to get their degrees. It's tough over there for these kids.
Yeah, it's all programs. It's a big lesson on management and trying to juggle your personal life while staying focused on this, because to me, just from the outside looking in, I can see how a team in the CFP, especially now with all these games, that you've got to eliminate any distractions, and that's hard. Because remember what it was like for us back then.
Yeah,
you can easily be distracted.
And I just rattled off a bunch of things, right, with the family and all that stuff. You know what? One thing I forgot: managing relationships.
Managing
girlfriends, managing relationships with friends that are outside of athletics, So all that stuff is really on these kids' shoulders right now, and it's tough. And I think that Tori and training staff have done a good job thus far. But it's a long road, long haul.
Yeah. Well, Quinn Ewers was asked about it, and he looked absolutely exhausted, like they probably had a long practice. And he talked about navigating this long journey.
Like you said, it's a long season, and it's nice to have a little more time in between these games to be able to get to as close as you can back to 100%, and also just gives you more time to prepare for the opposing team that we're playing. And but at the end of the day, it's awesome. It's awesome to still be playing football whenever other guys are at home or training for the combine or whatever it is.
So basically, what you just said,
training for the combine, and I didn't see that interview, but I know what these guys are going through.
Right.
Let me tell you. Let me put it in perspective. This August, those guys came on campus when nobody else was here. They were working, getting ready for the season. Then the season came. We are in season. Now we're in postseason. Those same kids that weren't on campus when they got there are gone now. They're back at home hanging out with mom and dad.
Yeah.
And these football players are still on campus trying to finish out the season. Those kids, the regular, I don't want to say regular students, but the students are going to come back to campus. We're still in the same season playing football if we make it all the way to the championship game. And then when we get out of the championship game, there's some big life decisions that some of these kids are going to have to make, as in the transfer portal or going on to play in an NFL, choosing an agent and trying to figure out the combines, if they get an invite to the combines or whatever they're gonna do. So it's a lot going on in these guys' lives for sure.
Now it's the quarterfinals, the Elite Eight, and I know everyone has seen this graphic. This is how it's going to go. New Year's Day afternoon in Atlanta in the Peach Bowl. Texas gets past Arizona State. They go to the Cotton Bowl back here in Texas, and we'll face either Ohio State or Oregon if they beat the Sun Devils. And this is going to be a great round, because the first round buys, Georgia, Boise State, Oregon, and Arizona State, they've sat out for over 2 weeks. And if there's one semifinal that really could be an upset, I mean, there's two of them. I'm thinking Notre Dame can upset Georgia, and the rematch, Ohio State and Oregon. I think Ohio State may be top to bottom the most talented team in America.
Could be,
which means they could win in the Rose Bowl and advance. I just see it, since they're the 8 seed. The 7 and 8 seeds, to me, can really pull off perceived upsets here, because Notre Dame is built like Texas, in my opinion.
Yeah. And then I think the 5th seed is good too.
Oh, yeah. But I'm talking about the others. Yeah, it's,
I hear you.
Yeah, because 4 or 5 can be flip-flop.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm right there with you. I think that you're absolutely correct. Notre Dame, I told some friends the other day that Notre Dame or Georgia needs to watch out for Notre Dame. They play a different style of football that Georgia don't like.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, and then Ohio State, they're looking to get revenge. So you're spot on, I believe.
One guy who knows Arizona State all too well, he's been on Stories Inside the Man Cave podcast before, is Jake Garcia. He succeeded me at Cave View. Great storyteller. He's an award-winning journalist. We had him in our Instagram Live when I was out in Arizona. It was before Texas played Washington in the CFP. You were on there smoking a cigar, and then we had Brian Mays and Jake Garcia and Hardball Harge, and we were having a good time. He was working in Seattle at the time, covering the Washington Huskies after covering the Longhorns for 3 years.
Wow.
And now he's back in Phoenix. That's where, and he went to Arizona State. Now he's covering Arizona State, who's covering Texas. And we had an interview earlier today. We had hoped, we just couldn't all three get our schedule together. But here's the interview with Jake Garcia. Tremendous insight on the Sun Devils. All right, this is maybe the most unique setting for an interview. Jake Garcia traversing the desert of California in between work assignments. Jake Garcia, welcome. You're now a two-time veteran of Stories Inside the Man Cave, man. That has got to be high up on your resume list of accomplishments.
I think there's no doubt about it. Honestly, I hope we can do this every year because two to me is not nearly enough, Sean. Thanks for having me on. Excited to do this. Excited to talk some Peach Bowl with you.
I love it, man. Always enjoyed his work when he was in Austin, Texas. We both worked for KVU, but barely missed each other. But the unique thing about this, why it ties into the Peach Bowl, this is special. So he covered the Longhorns while he was at the Channel of Champions, KVU, and received a great opportunity in Seattle to cover the Washington Huskies. Then he got to cover the Huskies versus the Longhorns in UT's first ever CFP. He's now in Phoenix, pretty much just got started covering the Sun Devils in their first ever CFP, who will now face the Longhorns in the Peach Bowl. And they have to go way out east to Atlanta, GA to make this happen. We were talking about this when we were setting this interview up. I mean, how do you even react to that? All these coincidences, I don't know what word to describe it, but it's really cool for you, to be honest.
No doubt. I think there are two takeaways. One is that whatever college football team that I cover, I guess, tends to go to the CFP. So any college town looking to crack the top teams in the country should reach out to me. Number two is that I can't seem to escape the Texas Longhorns. Not that I was trying to in the first place, but yeah, it's been 2 straight years of, okay, I'm going to a new city, and then all of a sudden UT is following me wherever I go. But it's been amazing because, as I mentioned to you off camera, Sean, I feel connected to both fan bases. Mm-hmm. I still have a lot of friends in Austin. It just makes for a really fun time.
Yeah.
I think last year when I was at the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans, like, that is the most fun I've had covering a sporting event in sports media, just because it felt like a family reunion for me. It was cool to see a bunch of old faces, both in sports media in Austin and then, with the Longhorns team themselves. So I'm happy that we're doing this again. And I think for your sake, it would probably be best if it weren't a repeat of last year when, Quinn Ewers had that last-second heave that was batted down and right. UW went to the Natty after that. I think Texas is in a better position this year. I'll start by saying that.
No, I agree. I think last year was a great team. I feel like maybe this is one of the better defenses in UT football history. And, you think about Arizona State. When I was younger, I'd say when I was really young in the 80s, I remember them going to Rose Bowls. They had some really good teams along with Arizona. But you arrive they change. The college football world is imploding every month. Changes galore. We never really thought Big 12, maybe Big 12, but for them to go to the Big 12 and in the first year win it, and now they're in the CFP. What, from your understanding, what you know, how did ASU do this in such a short time frame?
It's honestly been one of the more shocking developments and storylines of college football this year, because this was a team that was picked to finish last in the Big 12. Preseason Big 12 media poll, nobody thought that they would amount to anything. And it wasn't even like this was supposed to be an awful team. And out of nowhere, a young head coach who's in his lower 30s, one of the youngest, when he was hired, he was the youngest coach in Power 5 college football, now Power 4 college football. But the beauty of Kenny Dillingham is he has the energy to match and set the tone and create a culture for the rest of his team. And I think that's the biggest reason why ASU is here, is because their head coach had this undeniable belief in his guys. And I think it's been contagious, and they've continued to win, and it's been a snowball effect. I think you have to look at the offense, which is led by, for my money, maybe the best freshman quarterback in college football in Sam Leavitt, and then a running back who has played a lot of college football, but until last year had never played it at the highest level, referring to Cam Scatterbo. But this was an FCS player who was under-recruited out of high school, and all of a sudden, was a couple votes shy of being.
So you mentioned Cam Scatterbo, and I'm very proud of myself that I pronounced his name correctly, because I know that's the type of name that you can be butchered frequently. Ashton Junty from Boise State and Scatterbo are two guys that really, really, really caught my eye early. I can relate to Scatterbo because I love vertically challenged guys who always have something to prove. He mentioned in an interview, he was asked about always being counted out, doubted along with the team. And this was his response to that.
If you think you're successful, then you'll start falling. And I think the doubt that people give to us for free is extremely, motivating to everybody. And like I said, if you have doubt, you'll be successful in life, because you're going to constantly want to prove somebody wrong.
Jake, you can't disagree with that. Someone doubts you all the time. That you always have fuel to be great.
Yeah, and I think Scatterbo's been playing with that chip, since he was coming out of high school. If you go back and watch his highlight tape from when he was a high school football player in Northern California, he was running with something to prove then, and I think that has only grown as he's developed and, really understood what his leadership role is for this ASU team. This is a team that has adopted his entire ethos and way of being. The way Scatterbo runs the football is the way that ASU plays football in a broader context. They're physical, they're unrelenting, and it's been a lot of fun to watch. Now, with that being said, physical by Big 12 standards might be a little bit different than physical by, and I'm not even going to say SEC standards, because I think that's a little overblown. But I will say by Texas standards, because in their first year in the SEC, Texas was, the trend-setting team when it came to, playing a punishing style of football. And so I think it'll be interesting. I don't have any doubts that, Scatterbo will be, burdened by the moment or, unable to rise to that level of competition. I think the big question is, can the O-line create holes for him? Can the O-line protect Sam Leavitt? And if they can, I think this is a closer game than people might expect.
Even Steve Sarkisian and that entire UT coaching staff, he admitted that they have been a fan of that guy all season. They love the way he plays. But he says when they were watching tape, preparing for Arizona State, yeah, they were a little concerned because he's not your one-dimensional type of back.
I think when you first turn on Cam's tape, you're thinking you're just going to see Mike Allstat. You're just going to see this bruiser that's just running into the line of scrimmage and bouncing off of people. And then the more you watch him, you're like, man, this guy's got really good feet. And then all of a sudden you're like, but wait a minute, this guy catches the ball really well out of the backfield. He's got, really good initial quickness after the catch to get vertical. And so he's a really versatile player. I was hoping he was going to be kind of a one-dimensional guy.
I think every opponent was hoping for the same thing.
Yeah, no doubt. I think Sark hit on a really good point there. Like, not only is this guy a physical punishing runner, but he's fast, he's quick in short and tight spaces. And I think what's been most impressive, especially these last few weeks, is his balance. Like, he will get knocked sideways and somehow stay on his feet and pick up 10, 20, 30 more yards after that first contact. I truly don't know like the physics behind some of these runs, but it's been really impressive to watch, and it makes for a really fun player to cover.
The battle of quarterbacks. There's a soundbite right here from Sam Levitt. I don't think he's lacking any confidence.
I'm just excited for the opportunity. People keep counting me out since day one, and I'm gonna go prove I'm the better quarterback. And that's how I feel since day one. So I'm gonna go put everybody on the map.
Wow, Jake. I mean, he's quarter. I hate. I did it when I was in the media. I still do it. The quarterbacks don't ever face off against one another, but fans and everybody say, who's going to have the better performance? I mean, do you think Levitt has it in him to outduel Quinn Ewers? Quinn's more of a game manager, in my opinion.
Right. Well, I was going to say, it's like, man, I've never seen UT fans rally behind Quinn Ewers the way they did after hearing that soundbite from Sam Levitt, because, and correct me if I'm wrong, but based on what I've been seeing in the Twitter world, Quinn Ewers, like, he's not universally beloved in Austin. And I know that the backup quarterback is every fan's best friend, but like when your backup quarterback has the last name Manning, it ratchets it up a little bit more. So right. I thought that was funny that all of a sudden, Quinn Ewers' approval rating was 100%. I hadn't seen that honestly since he was being recruited by Texas. Does Levitt have it in him to outdo Ewers? I mean, I think so. Like, based on what I've seen from Levitt this year, like that soundbite is not him trying to create bulletin board material. Mm-hmm. It's not, him trying to, reach the other fan base and rile them up. That's who Sam Levitt's been all season long. It's who he was before the Kansas State game when ASU went on the road and was playing a top 15 team. I'm blanking on Kansas State's quarterback. I think his last name is Johnson, but Levitt made it a point leading up to the game to say this is a guy who was heavily recruited in high school, much more recruited than I was. I want to go out there and show that, I deserve to be in that conversation and that I've turned into the better quarterback now. He did that when they were playing BYU. This has been a thing all season long. So, while fans on social media want to point out that if you're coming for the throne, you better not miss, that sort of thing. No, I think this is motivation for Levitt himself. He feels some type of way. There's a fire that's sparked within him with this trash talk. And this is the beauty of sports, is it's okay to trash talk. This is not a life or death situation. We're going to be okay. So no, I think it's a motivational tactic for him. Do I know for a fact that he's going to outdo Ewers? No, because I do think that, the experience that Ewers has, especially on this stage, is going to be helpful. The lessons learned from, last year's game in the college football playoff quarterfinal, that is all going to be helpful. But on the flip side, there's also the blissfulness of being young and not, being consumed by the stage. And I think Levitt's going to be just fine.
I agree. I think this is a good matchup. I may not agree with the CFP model of instantly awarding or rewarding the top 4 ranked conference champions. I mean, Arizona State belongs. There's for sure right. They do. But I just don't believe in giving them even Boise first round buys. But that's for a conversation next year, probably. So strangely enough, and I'm going to talk to Stevie about this, there are some Longhorns who are in Arizona State, or former Longhorns, that is. I think there was – who was the coach? I think it was Beck out at Coastal Carolina. He said, we're not recruiting to build a program. We're recruiting to build a roster every year. So my point being is the transfer portal, it taketh and it giveth. It gives, so to speak. So here are a list of the former Longhorns that are on the Sun Devils roster. Jake Smith, Prince Dorba, Troy O'Meary, Jamon Tapp, Xavier Alford, and we've already heard from Zach Swanson last week or the week before, which to a lot of people watching or listening, those tough conversations are had at the end of every year. Hey, where you stand with the program. And then Brian Carrington, who came with Tom Herman, has earned himself an opportunity to be a position coach for ASU. To summarize these guys, they're following you, Jake. That's another part. Wherever Jake goes, we're going to play.
I think Jake Smith especially, it feels like that guy's been in college for 10 years because I was in Austin when, they were recruiting him and when he came over to the Longhorns, and then, I watched him play for a couple of injury-plagued seasons, and I thought this guy was pretty good. I don't know. Maybe it'll be a coming out party for him because he has not been a focal point of this ASU offense. But, playing Texas, I think, is motivational for all of these guys on this list. Even the guys from Texas who grew up in Texas, who maybe were overlooked by UT out of high school. That's got to mean something to you, right? I don't think the Zach Swanson case is unique. And, I wasn't there for those conversations that were had between him and the Texas coaching staff. He perceived them to be disrespectful. I would obviously assume that the Texas staff just viewed it as being open and honest. And I think there's something to be said for, instead of gaslighting a player, you want to let him know, hey, you're not going to get playing time here. It's probably best if you go look elsewhere. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I also don't think there's anything wrong with using that as fuel and using that to, jack you up before the game. I think that's exciting. Whether or not you want to go talking to reporters about that is up to you. But I always enjoy these type of storylines before a game like this.
I do too. And in the end, it has truly worked out for Zach. He's back home. He's part of a team or group and that has changed the trajectory of that program, and they're winning a lot. To get a taste of what Jake does, he's a great storyteller, puts together some unique stories. He has one, and he found out, and it was well done, down to the T, the use of the, teams, players get bowl gifts. And they even did back in 1970, the Peach Bowl watch, and use the sound of the ticking to tell the story of the undefeated 1970 Peach Bowl championship team from Arizona State. Briefly talk about that story and where the fine folks watching and or listening can check out the full story.
Well, if anyone's living in Phoenix, tune into the local NBC. That's where we want to drive people to, is still the TV product. So that's Channel 12 in Phoenix. If you're not living in Phoenix, any of my social media accounts will have ways to watch the story on Twitter. I think you have it up there, Sean. Jake_M_Garcia. It's on Instagram as well, Jake M. Garcia TV. Head over to our website, 12news.com. Like, it exists in a lot of places. I had a lot of fun putting that story together because there were so many parallels from the 1970 team to the 2024 team. From, down to the team, down to the fact that, they weren't getting respect at a national level from the outside world, that they were the only ones who believed they could do something special. They had a head coach who was, setting the tone for his entire team. He was hard-nosed, but, he was fun to be around in Frank Kush. And I, like, the things that I learned telling this story, for example, like, when they got to Georgia, the coaches knew there was going to be rain in the forecast. So a few days before, they literally flooded Georgia Tech's practice field so that the team could be prepared to play in the elements. Like, those were the kind of tactics that the coaching staff was resorting to. And then at halftime, ASU was losing to North Carolina. The coaching staff made them scrimmage both in the locker room and in the end zone. Like, that tells you that, this was a different time than what we're seeing right now. So, but at the end of the day, I think, like, you could tell that these players who are now in their 70s, and there was a assistant coach that I talked to as well, who's 101 years old.
Oh my God.
The feeling was universal and unanimous. It wasn't like a bitter alumnus sort of situation. Like, they were proud. They were proud that, what they had done 50 years prior had laid a foundation and set the stage and really, like, put ASU on a national map. And it's been a long and winding road to get back, but they are back. And I think that energy that they showed for this team is felt by a lot of longtime ASU supporters. And will it make a difference in the game? I don't know. But it's just a really cool, like, full circle story.
Oh, it was beautiful. It was. I enjoyed the piece that I did, the part of it that I did get to watch. It's typical Jake Garcia storytelling. Well done. And those are the type of stories I love to find. They're hard to find, but sometimes, you get lucky, but it's also about just using your network. But it is ideal. I did not know that about all the different parallels to this Arizona State team. But either way, regardless, it's going to be a fun matchup. And I just find it amusing, the geographic location of the game and where the two schools are. And then, of course, Jake's story of having the opportunity to cover both teams and still has good connections. And you left on good terms in all the places you've been. Jake, you're welcome back anytime. Maybe if something dramatic comes out of this, we got to hook up again.
No doubt. I appreciate it, Sean. Maybe next year. I think I'm going to be in Phoenix for a while.
I hope so.
So I think to get me on next year, we're going to need another CFP matchup between these two teams. It's always a pleasure. Always enjoy talking ball with you.
I love it. And then hopefully we can get Stevie on. But we're 2 days away from the last day of the year. I think Stevie Lee has made a strong case to be the dad of the year, or at least the volleyball dad of the year in America.
I love it. He's got my vote. He's got my vote, no doubt.
Jake, safe on the roads, and, man, really proud of you. And, man, Happy New Year, my friend.
All right. Thanks, Sean.
Thanks, bud. Now, that was kind of the shortened version. You can see the entire interview with Jake and get some more insight on the Sun Devils by going to our Facebook page or our YouTube page as well. Now, Cam Skattebo has been a guy just like Boise State's Ashton Junty, who I've been impressed with since I saw them play. I really like Cam, as I mentioned in the interview, because he's vertically challenged and he's me against the world type attitude. Passing and catching, rushing and receptions over 2,000 yards and 22 touchdowns, and he's averaging 6.3 yards per carry.
All we got to do is gang tackle like we've been doing, right? It looks like he's pretty elusive. You get the first hit on him, and you have to really wrap up and get your other teammates to get around him and actually wrap him up and get him to the ground. But I don't see a problem with us doing that. We play gang defense anyway, so it's a party at the ball. That's all we need to do.
Bowl season. Well, the Aggies, I could not believe this. Could not believe this at the Vegas Bowl. That was their game to win.
Alva looking left, throws a slant, caught, touchdown, Kyle Ford.
Could not believe Lincoln Riley and USC beat A&M. I thought A&M was far and above more talented and a better team. I don't know what happened.
A&M being A&M, man.
Wow. Yeah, you said it. I didn't. Hey, we'll wrap. We're going to do a quick wrap around here. Like, what is OU lost to Navy in the bowl game in Fort Worth? They finished a second time in Venables 3 years. They finished 6-7. Okay. And their DC, who allegedly committed to stay, is now the DC at West Virginia.
He said, man, forget this SEC stuff. I'm going back to the Big 12. That's what he said. Man. I think I told you earlier, man, that OU is time for them to clean house. But everyone looked at me crazy like, no, it's not. Give them another year. No, it's time to go, man. They're in the SEC now. They need to play SEC football. And losing to Navy, that's embarrassing. It's really embarrassing. And I'm embarrassed because we went to the SEC with them. So we kind of have some kindership right there. And they're not holding up their end of the bargain right now. So that's that. OU has to do better, be better, and figure out their coaching style because it's something that's got to change.
Well, I know it's a proud program in modern history. They have a much better record than Texas and won more championships. If we want to start since the 2000, it's hard to watch that because I was there. I know how they operate. Yeah, and I know, and this is not an excuse. Brent Venables' wife had another reoccurrence of breast cancer. It came back, and so I'm not saying that's an excuse, but I know he's got a lot to juggle, and I know how good of a husband and a father he is. But you hate to see it. I don't know what the situation is. I don't know why it is the way it is. But you're right. They've got to figure this out. They did have a good recruiting class that just signed. So, but they've got to work the portal. Yeah. OU has to work the portal, especially on the lines. And one of their top linebackers on one of the best defenses in the country entered the portal today. So you're seeing a lot. They had 25 guys in the portal for that didn't play in that bowl game. Real quick, so far in the bowl games, according to conferences, the ACC, 9 losses in bowl games already.
Are we still calling on one of the Power Fours?
Well, it may be on its last thread. Hey, we're take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to wrap things up, of course, like we always do. But Stevie's got us a little ATX pro tip. I'm curious because sometimes, I like to say I'm a foodie or what place I know where to tell you to go usually, but Stevie enlightens us more often than not. We'll hear from Stevie give us a little tip, and we'll see you on the other side of this break.
Today's going to be an exciting day at the Hargrove office as we bring in a local celebrity. Welcome the kicking phenom, Bert Auburn, conference champion of the Texas Longhorn football team, all-conference kicker. He's going to be our new spokesman. Bert's the best kicker in the conference. He plays for the Texas Longhorns. As you can see, Bert's awesome. Hey, Stevie.
Dude, you're really replacing me with a kicker?
No, not at all, man. Hey, guys, who wants a picture with Stevie? Anyone? Stevie almost won a Big 12 championship. Hargrove Roofing. Know who's on your roof.
The Bully is a cozy Austin original bar and grill that feels like home. Boulevard Bar and Grill, nestled into this Northwest Hills strip mall, recently celebrated 2 decades. The drink prices are like going back to 2004. It's where familiar faces gather and everyone knows your name. The Bully family are also friends of the stories inside the Man Cave podcast. Boulevard Bar and Grill on Far West Boulevard in Northwest Austin. Now, the beauty of Stevie Lee and his much better half summer, they regardless of being busy parents and just busy work lives, they find time to have fun and go and experience things. And that was the genesis when I thought of, he and I thought of this, to give us an ATX, that stands for Austin, Texas, pro tip for ideas of how to go out and have a great time. Stevie, what do you have for us?
Well, this week I got Mozart's 2024 Lake Austin Festival of Lights. Go down to Lake Austin on Lake Austin Boulevard all the way to the end where Mozart's is, and just beautiful lights, hanging out, coffee or hot chocolate. It's starting to get a little cold around here now.
It'll be really cold soon.
Yeah, really cold soon, but Christmas was in the upper 70s. But right now you can cozy up with your loved one. Get an igloo. You can have a donut boat ride, but it's all lit up and pretty out there. Go and take your significant other and have a romantic Christmas date a little bit after Christmas. It ends on January 4th. But go out there and have fun, man, and just be in the stay in the festive season right now. So
I like it.
Yeah, we still got New Year's and get ready for the 4th. Oh, no, so not 4th of July. The New Year fireworks and all that stuff. So, but go down to Mozart, man. It's pretty.
It is. I've done it twice, and you got to prepay. Don't go there and have to wait in line. I will say that. By the way, January 4th is the anniversary of the 2005 national championship win.
Yep.
I want y'all to remember that. All right, TikTok in the man cave. Everybody loves dogs, and dogs can get a little frisky, a little hyper like myself, and they cause things to happen. And this is a montage of dogs getting a little overexcited and creating some accidents.
Making me laugh. Wow!
He broke the TV!
Hey, what's the damn dog doing on the table?
Yeah, I don't know, but I'm about ready to get rid of my dogs now. I don't want no more. I don't want any disasters in my house. That was terrible, man. And most of the time, the owners was just minding their own business.
One dog wanted that couple to get off their laptops and play with them.
Play with me, yeah.
Slap those laptops shut.
Hey, man, tell me something good.
Stevie Lee, you know how we do it. We love positivity. You're a positive guy. And you know what? I still think just because it's after Christmas, the holidays, to me, they go on until January, the Monday after New Year's Day or next business day, so to speak. We're still in it. Tell me something good, my brother. Something that people can hang their hat on for the next week or so.
Something good right now, man, is let's close out this year. For some people, it was a tough year. For me, it was a pretty tough year. Let's close it out. We got some new things on the horizon, me and my wife, and as a family. My oldest daughter is going to be going off to college in 2025 and graduating. So I'm looking forward to that, man. Let's close out this year in the next couple of days, and let's start the new year off right, man. Something good is we're going to start over, hit the reset button, do a redo, and let's start it out with a smile. I'm ready for it. I'm ready for 2025.
I am too. And I'll say this. This is just an opinion of mine. This is something good. Let's stop with the resolutions and come up with reasonable goals that, don't just that you're going to do Q1 and stop.
Mm-hmm.
Come up with reasonable goals. Look, I want to become better in this area. I want to be a better partner. I want to listen more. I want to understand more. I want to quit making excuses in my head. Find more reasons to say yes than to say no.
Let's do it.
Let's do it, man.
Do it.
And you know what? It brings happiness when you do that. It's not being a yes person. It's just saying yes to more experiences and or with a certain special person in your life or your loved one or your significant other or whatnot. It's everything. It's Peach Bowl week. And for those of us in Austin, Texas, or those who follow the Longhorns, it's every game's getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. It's the Elite Eight. New Year's Day is going to be fun. All these bowl game days this weekend have been tremendous fun. A lot of fun watching this. So, for the people of the great city of Shreveport, Louisiana, this happens to be the hometown of the great Stevie Lee and the hometown of the Hargrove family, which is the owners of Hargrove Roofing. Much love to the Hargroves and the great city of Shreveport, Louisiana. Great place to throw your money away in a riverboat gambling. It's beautiful. And shout out to my college alma mater, hometown, Nacogdoches, Axum Jacks, and to my beautiful hometown of the Austin, Texas, and to the OG Man Cave boys, that being Harbaugh Harge, Big Mike, and the Coach Mo. What do we tell them, Stevie Lee?
We out.
You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up.
I said get out.